both the director and the general. The intelligence community, I believe, and correct me if I'm inaccurate, concluded that Iran was not aware prior to the attack by Hamas of the operation, but they seem to be exploiting it significantly, and by using their proxies throughout the region. And as you pointed out, Director Haines, our retaliation in September, 82 different strikes, has for the moment inhibited many of their proxies. Still, the Houthis are conducting operations. Can you give me an assessment of the Iranian strategy? Is it reactive or proactive? Are they trying to organize, a decisive victory, or are they simply reacting to what's going on, or trying to take advantage of what's going on?
Thank you so much, Chairman. I think really it's a combination of all of those things, which is to say that even though we don't assess that they were aware of the particular attack at the moment that it occurred in the way that it did, they obviously have been supportive of Hamas in the past, have provided funding and training and other assistance of different types. And the reality is that in many ways they support efforts to counter Israel, as we've seen. They see Israel as their enemy, and they have long done so. And so as things have developed, I think they're taking advantage of every opportunity to ultimately try to undermine the state of Israel in many respects. So that is certainly part of what they're doing. It is also, I think, true that they're looking to take advantage of opportunities to enhance their influence in the region. That is something that, again, they have long worked on, whether it's through the Iranian-aligned militia groups that we're all aware of in the region, or through their relationship with the Houthis, or through their relationship with Hamas, and of course one of their closest partners, Hezbollah. And so in supporting them and in also increasing their influence, there is a kind of a long-term strategy of trying to enhance that, including in countries like Iraq and so on. And so I think that's a fair, but General Cruz may have more to add.
I think I would just echo a couple of things that the DNI mentioned. One is that they have had a long-term strategy over many decades, and they have been long-term suppliers and supporters of the groups already mentioned. Within that larger strategy, this conflict came into being, and they've used every opportunity to take advantage of the circumstances. I wouldn't call it necessarily reactive, but the ability to, within their larger construct, increase their influence and come out. At some point, this conflict will end. Iran has gone through various sets of calculus over time about escalation or not escalating, and I think they're navigating a path by which they think they can create more influence within the region for the longer-term environment that we'll find at the end of the existing conflict.
In looking at China, you mentioned, Director Haines, that, and both, I think, General Cruz, that they're trying to use their economic power throughout the world, supply chains. That seems to be particularly the case with strategic minerals. Do you see us in a fight, quote unquote, over securing adequate strategic minerals? Because these are essential to batteries and other things that could be the source of power in the next generation.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think one way to think about this is as follows. They have used rare earth elements and critical minerals as a leverage point for achieving geopolitical outcomes in different spaces, because I think they both recognize their capacity with respect to mining and processing is significant, and it gives them the ability to sort of move forward on a plan for how do we control the global supply chains in these areas, and recognizing that these are incredibly important to the prosperity of many economic futures for different countries in the moving forward. They've seen the ability to use that, again, as a leverage point. And what we've seen in this area, and I think there's sort of history is a useful lesson in this, which is to say that they have actually passed laws that, from dating back decades now even, for being able to control the rare earth elements. And we saw them actually use this first, I think, in the context of a dispute with Japan over the Senkaku Islands, where they ultimately used their leverage there by cutting off exports that were important to Japan's economy at the time as a way of pressuring them in the context of a land dispute and maritime dispute. So, I mean, I think that's an example of what we've seen. We've also seen them pass export controls of gallium and germanium more recently, and other things that are important, and again, using this as a leverage point. And I think, you know, what we have been trying to do is try to help policymakers understand how they're approaching this, where they are getting close to having control over a critical supply chain, and then being able to highlight opportunities for trying to disrupt that so that we can maintain resilience in these areas.
Thank you. No need for response unless I'm inaccurate, but one of the key advantages is they do a tremendous amount of refining. So these minerals could be, in fact, I think Australia has a huge cache of these minerals, but the refining is all done in China, and that's the choke point.
Yeah, lithium is a good example of this. Yeah.
Senator Fisher, please.